We all have an ever-growing backlog of games that we purchased and never got around to playing or finishing. I'm no exception, but I'm challenging myself to get through them in between new releases in a series called Backlog Reviews. To kick off this series, I figured that before Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope releases later this year, I should finally get around to playing its predecessor, Kingdom Battle. Originally released in 2017, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is a turn-based strategy game co-developed by Ubisoft Milan and Ubisoft Paris. The blending of Super Mario nostalgia and the endearing Rabbids seems odd at first glance, but works incredibly well. I found the gameplay to be truly engaging and more challenging than I had anticipated, although it grows stagnant in the latter half of the campaign. The story is cleverly crafted and well tailored for the experience. Despite being 5 years old and remaining only playable on the Switch, the game looks pretty good. However, it's locked at 30 frames per second and there are some weird camera issues, but the sound design and soundtrack are charmingly reminiscent of Nintendo's Mario games. Gear up and plan accordingly, my friends. This is my backlog review for Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. After an adolescent Mario fan and her robot Beepo create a device called the Super-Merge, a gang of Rabbids invade her home through a washing machine turned time machine. One of the Rabbids gets a hold of the Super-Merge and begins merging items in the inventor's room with reckless abandon. The Rabbid aims the Super-Merge at the time washing machine and opens a vortex. This pulls everything in the room into the vortex, including a poster of the Mushroom Kingdom. Meanwhile, a vortex opens above the Mushroom Kingdom. Mario and his friends are pulled into the rift and spit back out, scattered across the kingdom. Beepo discovers that the now corrupted Super-Merge has combined with the Rabbid that was wearing it. Beepo, Mario, and their new friends, Rabbid Peach and Rabbid Luigi, must track down the Super-Merge Rabbid and put an end to this chaos. The story in Kingdom Battle suits the game quite well. It's a simple premise that contextualizes the merging of these two intellectual properties without seeming lazy or overly complicated. Additionally, the writing is surprisingly good. Beepo's observations of Rabbids enjoying the Mushroom Kingdom actually made me laugh a handful of times, and Bowser Jr.'s "my dad will be home any minute" shtick is a lot of fun. Furthermore, the Nintendo Rabbid blended characters are super charming. Rabbid Peach in particular has so much personality without ever saying a word. Shout out to Xavier Manzanares and David Soliani for coming up with the idea to blend these worlds and their characters. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. Kingdom Battle's story succeeds in steering the gameplay without getting in the way or being too convoluted. This allows the tactical turn-based gameplay to be at the forefront, so let's dive in. Kingdom Battle asks the player to strategically defeat the corrupted Rabbids in tactical turn-based battles. The battles take place across 4 unique worlds in the Mushroom Kingdom. Each world has 8 chapters plus mid-boss and main boss battles. In between battles, you navigate through the charming worlds, taking in the sights and solving puzzles for rewards. Furthermore, you can regroup outside Peach's castle to swap team members, upgrade their weapons and abilities, replay chapters, engage in couch co-op, or take a gander at your collectibles. I found the battles to be engaging and more difficult than I was expecting. Accounting for each team member's strengths and weaknesses was a lot of fun, especially considering all the enemy types and the potential status effect damages that they may use. Placement and attack order are paramount. Something as simple as forgetting to hit an enemy while changing position or forgetting to set a trap before outright attacking will cost you. Along the journey, you can find and earn coins that are used to purchase new weapons. You unlock new weapons by progressing through the story or by solving puzzles between battles. I enjoyed the simplicity of the structure and found that it encouraged me to actually stop to solve the puzzles. However, solving puzzles can earn you other rewards that I felt distracted from unlocking new weapons, but more on that later. Additionally, the variety of weapons and their damage types encouraged experimentation, and I always felt like I had enough money to try out a new weapon. Meanwhile, you'll occasionally earn orbs. These can be spent on upgrades to your character's respective skill trees. What I loved about this system and Kingdom Battle's overall design philosophy was its simplicity. If I found 10 orbs, those 10 orbs apply to each character individually. So I could spend those 10 orbs on Mario and I still had 10 new orbs for Luigi, Rabbid Peach, etc. Furthermore, I could meticulously choose each upgrade, or I could simply use autofill to spend orbs on new abilities. After completing a chapter, you're given a score based on your performance. The determining factors for this score are how many turns you used and how many of your characters survived. Completing a chapter with all 3 characters still standing and doing so without exceeding the par score will grant you more rewards. If you don't get a perfect score on a chapter, you can always return to it later using the time washing machine outside Peach's castle. As I mentioned before, solving puzzles will grant you rewards. Sometimes they're new weapon schematics, sometimes they're orbs, but more times than not, they're collectibles. These collectibles are either artwork, soundtracks, 3D models, or tarot cards. I think it's cool to include these things in the game for those that enjoy them, but I didn't like that it took away from unlocking more weapons and orbs. When faced with a puzzle in the late game, I started thinking things like, I'm not doing this right now, I'll probably just unlock another soundtrack anyway. The carrot on the end of the stick slowly revealed its rot, which is a shame. If you have a friend to play with, head over to the Buddy Dome for some couch co-op. Here you can play through a series of challenges with varying difficulty. I didn't get to play much, but from what I did play, I think strategizing big plays with a friend is a lot of fun. However, if you don't have a buddy, these co-op challenges are still turn-based, so you can absolutely play them competently on your own. Additionally, there's a versus mode where you can go head-to-head or battle yourself, like the old man in the animated short Before a Bug's Life. After beating the game, there's still plenty to do. Beepo learns abilities during the campaign that help you solve puzzles. If you didn't return to any of the areas previously, you can then go back and solve them with all the abilities acquired. Additionally, there are challenges and perfect scores to complete. Plus, the Donkey Kong Adventure DLC is purchasable for anyone looking for more. DK Adventure introduces new playable characters, enemies, and gameplay mechanics. It's well worth checking out. But all that great gameplay would be for naught if it didn't look good and run well, so let's take a closer look. Mario + Rabbids Kingdom Battle looks good for a 5-year-old game on Switch. When you consider how early on in the console's life cycle it was developed and how the Switch continues to show its age as of late, Kingdom Battle's visuals are nothing to sneeze at. Ubisoft managed to nail the Mario aesthetic and incorporate the Rabbids into it gracefully. It looks like a Nintendo game, and that's an achievement in my eyes. In terms of performance, Kingdom Battle is locked to 30 frames per second in both handheld mode and while docked. However, it runs at 720p while handheld and at 1080p while docked. This is a healthy balance of resolution because rendering anything over 720p while handheld would drain the battery like a tub. Plus, the screen size on Switch is perfect for 720p. 60 frames per second would have been nice while docked, but it's a turn-based strategy game. 30 FPS is fine here, and if a bump to 1080p would have made achieving 60 frames per second inconsistent, I think Ubisoft made the right call. There are some moments during combat where the camera clips through a wall or the subject is obscured by another object. This is definitely the most unfortunate aspect of the game's visuals, especially considering it's linked so intrinsically to gameplay. However, most of the time these moments are few and far between and are mostly outweighed by moments when the camera technique works as intended. While the game's visuals sport the endearingly warm aesthetic of a Nintendo-developed Mario game, it's paired with equally charming sound design and a soundtrack to match. Lend me your ear for just a moment longer, and then we can move on to my final thoughts. Despite being developed and published by Ubisoft with Nintendo's blessing, if you closed your eyes, you would think it was a Nintendo game. The world-renowned chime of picking up a coin and the unmistakable "awahoos" are presented incredibly well. The impact of Mario slamming a hammer on a rabbit sounds weighty, and there's a joyful silliness that keeps the atmosphere light. While I didn't notice any songs that were lifted straight out of an actual Nintendo game, the orchestral quality of Nintendo's soundtracks is echoed in Kingdom Battle. This makes it sound like a proper Nintendo game. Personally, I think Ubisoft nailed the audio in Kingdom Battle. I don't think anyone will be listening to the soundtrack in their car unless en route to see a psychotherapist, but Kingdom Battle captures the sounds of Mario games while being original, and I think that should be applauded. I'm really glad I went back and played Mario + Rabbids Kingdom Battle. It's a great game and a shining moment for Ubisoft. Despite it taking 5 years for a sequel, I'm glad that Nintendo is letting Ubisoft take another swing with this formula. I think Nintendo licensing their iconic characters for second-party endeavors like this is really charming and cool of them to do. While I loved Kingdom Battle's gameplay, I think it overstays its welcome a bit. I love that the studio maintained the game's level structure throughout the experience. However, toward the end of the game, the gameplay doesn't introduce anything new to keep the game feeling fresh. As a result, it starts feeling stagnant. Around World 4, I started wanting the game to wrap up, but it felt locked into its level structure, arguably to a fault. However, all things considered, Kingdom Battle is a great game that is well deserving of your time. If you're like me and you still haven't checked it out, you should give it a go. I'm still dabbling with the Donkey Kong Adventure DLC and playing co-op with my girlfriend. It's a lot of fun and you may be surprised at how much you enjoy it. For those looking for a review score, I would give Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle a 3.5 out of 5. It's a cut above average, but there's still room to go with its balancing of puzzle rewards, the pacing of its level structure, and camera work. Have you played Kingdom Battle? What do you think? Sound off in the comments below. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Your time and attention mean the world to me. If you enjoy reviews, retrospectives, review discussions, spoiler casts, and the occasional editorial, subscribe to the channel. Additionally, I write for lordsofgaming.net. If you're looking for a gaming site full of writers that love games and just want to talk about them, look no further. Lords of Gaming is the site for you. Again, thank you for watching, lead with love, and stay hydrated.